So in this video I'm going to talk about the 200 levels, but first I'm going to talk about what it's like to breach through into the 200 levels from below 200, because that's a really important event in anybody's journey up the scale. And I know all about what it's like, and you can learn a lot from this if you're stuck below 200 now, or if you think you are, because there are many things you need to know or you can benefit from knowing about up front that I didn't know. I had to learn the hard way when I went through it. But the thing is, most people who are listening to this video are most likely born in the 300s, but you can get temporarily stuck below 200 like I was, and many people are, and that can be rough, and you have to break free from that. And in this video I'm going to talk about how you can do that, and also what it's like for people who are native to the 200 levels, what life is like for those people. But most importantly, you need to learn how to breach free from this level, and that's what I'm going to discuss here first. So the people who are native to the levels below 200, you have to realize these people are deeply in the clutches of the collective shadow, and they are therefore like agents and channels of the collective shadow to a large degree. Okay, and many times you will have such an agent of the collective shadow installed in your life as a friend, so-called friend, when you're stuck below 200, because that's the way the collective shadow that's the way it keeps you there. It attaches these so-called friends who are very negative and abusive in many ways to you, and it sort of keeps you low because this friend is sort of dominating your life too much, and taking too much control in a negative way, like a pimp takes control of a battered woman, right? Like a broken woman. It's sort of the same way with this so-called friend that you might have installed in your life if you're stuck down these levels. And you might even feel sorry and pity for this friend because you project your own goodness onto that person, and that person has no capacity for that himself or herself. So it's important to realize this, and if you have such an agent in your life, you might have to confront him or her to take back your power. That might be part of the thing that you have to do when the time comes, because this friend is basically gradually taking control of your life, most likely in different ways that you don't really see. But you start seeing these things when you start to take self-responsibility and start to heal and do things to turn your life around. Then you will suddenly start to see, hey, this friend is not really a good friend, or not really a good person. He's actually very abusive, and you don't see it until you start to do things to change, and that's when you start to see that the control this person has over you. And if it comes to that, if it comes to a head that you have to confront this person or take back your power, you will most likely face a very strong attack from the negative voices and archon beings which are the foot soldiers of the collective shadow. This will be like a chaotic thing going on in your mind as you sort of man yourself up to take back your power, and you to stand in your truth and to confront this person or whatever you need to do. Then you will face this attack. But this is really important to realize. This attack means you're very close to breaching through into the 200 levels, because that's why the collective shadow is launching this attack against you. Because it without doing that, it stays hidden. But when it does that, it reveals itself to a certain degree, and it doesn't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. And it's absolutely necessary when you're breaching through into the 200 levels, because that means it will lose you into a higher level, because the collective shadow wants to keep everybody, as many people as possible, below 200, because that's how it keeps the lush farm rich with negativity that it feeds off of. So that's the whole point. It's really important for the collective shadow to keep people below 200. So this is a really big deal when you get to that point where you have to break through. And it's almost like you're going crazy because you hear these negative voices attacking in your mind, like really like a piranha attack of negative voices, right? Almost like schizophrenics here, like a schizophrenic attack. That's basically what it's like. A light version of it, at least, because these schizophrenics have it even worse. But it's a light version of the schizophrenic negative voices attack. And it comes at the moment when you take that decision to stand up for yourself and take back your power. Then it's really, really important to just power through this and not be scared by it, and you have to face this and be strong and not let these negative voices get to you, and just ignore them as best you can and just do what you need to do, and then they will stop. Once you have done what you need to do, then they will stop, and you will have breached through, because then there's nothing they can do anymore to hold you back to reach the 200 levels at least. They will still try to hold you back to reach higher levels in different ways, but that will be more subtle, not like this massive attack that you get when you breach through. So this is a good sign, actually. It's not you can it's scary, of course it's scary when it happens, but it's a very positive sign that you are actually really close to a breakthrough, and a very important breakthrough. Okay, and you may even experience like hysterical laughing and crying one after another when this happens, and when you go through this. And it may feel like you're going crazy. It may even feel like a completely internal pole shift has happened when you finally breach above the 200 threshold. It's like an internal pole shift. Like now your head is finally above water again. You can see a little bit more clearly, and you can see, hey, there's something else is possible in life. You don't have to circle around in a drain of misery, right, in a victim abuse relationships and whatnot. So suddenly now there is something else possible. Your head is above water. You're now oriented up the scale of consciousness instead of circling the drain, right? There's a big difference from below to above 200 levels. So let's now talk about people who are native to these 200 levels, because that's a very different story from those who are born in the 300s and are just temporarily visiting the 200, so to speak. So you have to realize, to run the world, you have to have many people who are simply doing regular jobs and regular stuff, right? And not everybody is meant to evolve quickly up the scale, have like a bungee jump down and go quickly up again. That's not for everyone. You have to have a lot of people who just are meant to be at the same level, like in for example 250, 210, whatever. Be around the same level their whole life and just do a regular job in the world, have a family and whatnot. That's how it works, right? So not everybody is meant to go quickly up the scale. You think that everybody has the same potential as you do. And you have to realize that many friends and even family and whatnot, they don't have that potential. And you will might even have to break off with many of these people. That you have to see, but I had to do that, and that can be rough. But you have to realize you can't let anybody hold you back. That's the important thing, that you can't let any so-called friends or family or whatever hold you back from what is much more important than the relationship is to actually evolve yourself and your destiny of getting higher into the highest levels possible on the scale, right? That's what you need to focus on and have as the first priority in your life if you want to really get up the scale. You can't think that, hey, everybody's going to go with me, or that's not how it works. You have to be able and willing to do whatever it takes and focus on you as the main focus. You have to, your evolvement, your transcending up the scale is the most important thing. So those people who are native to the lower end of the 200 levels are typically working class people, and this also dips into well below 200 also, of course. And middle class people also are like a little bit above 200, up to 250 or whatever, even maybe the higher 200s. And then you have upper class people also. I mean, most of these people, all of these people are native to the 200 levels. They are basically just animalistic, and in the sense that they care mostly about body-oriented stuff and chasing pleasures and avoiding pain. Most of them, they just go along to get along, and this is the level of the so-called NPCs or non-playing characters. The 200 level is packed with so-called NPCs. And these NPCs or non-playing characters, they are mostly run by the collective and programmed by the media, and there is little room for any real independent thinking in these people. And you can't think that they have that ability, because they never will in this life. So it's important to not project your own things onto people and believe that they can be the same, because in many cases they can't, and it will actually hold you back if you do that. And you just have to think that not people are different. Some people are meant to have a regular life and do regular jobs. And many people are like that, and they don't really. When you talk to them, there is very little depth. They like, they talk about normal what was on TV last night, last night's game, sports stuff, whatever. That's what they talk about. You can't have a deeper conversations with these people. That's a big sign that they're NPCs, or they are basically native to the 200 levels or even below. You can't have a deeper conversation. They will just go blank in their eyes, or they will just laugh it off or whatever. You can't go on that level with these people. They just don't have that capacity. And the life lessons in the 200s can be pretty harsh and physical, just like below 200, even worse. But they're usually body-oriented lessons and physical lessons in many cases that these people get who are native to these levels. And what is really characteristics for this level is that all these people, they push the dimension of death, of dying, that whole thing, that they push it in front of them, and they don't want to face it, they don't want to take it in, and they just ignore death and may pretend that they're going to live forever, or that is not real. And they do this their whole lives until it cannot be done anymore, because maybe a loved one or somebody dies, and then they get completely crushed and shaken to the core, because they have never faced this dimension at all in their life, so they don't know how to handle it. And that's one of their big life lessons for these people. That's facing death, because they don't do that early on, like many people do if you're born higher, like I did in my life. I took death in early on, which basically means you live a completely different life, because it completely changes your priority. You don't prioritize to survive if you know you're going to die anyway, and it can happen any time. Your priority becomes to find out what is that about, what's going to happen when you die, and the whole spiritual path of truth, and finding the truth about life, and what is this really about. That's what happens when you take in that. It enters into your being when you're young. Then you live a whole different life, because you want answers, and these people don't want answers. They don't even want to ask questions. They just want to go along to get along and focus on worldly pleasures and whatnot, and have fun and whatever, right? And do their job, and maybe get some status in some kind of job. That's what they want to focus. They don't want to focus on that. They want that to be something that never happens, basically. But that doesn't really work, of course. And these people, they also use a lot of escapism, like they use drugs, alcohol, TV, sports, medicine, gossip magazines, computer games, all these different ways to escape this dimension of death their whole life. And that's typical for these people. They love sports, most of them, or many of them at least. And many of them also use religion as an escape, because then it's like a fast food belief system. You can just accept a ready-made fast food belief system about that and everything, and then you think and you can just take that, okay, no, I believe this, I'm Christian, I'm this and that, I believe this, and then you can just live with that. Now you think you have the answers, but it doesn't really work when you really are confronted with that, because I've seen this in my life. Christian people who believe strongly in God and everything, when their loved one died, this person or these people, they got completely shaken to the core, never got over it, and completely crushed. So that is so much for religion when it comes to helping with that, right? It didn't really help these people so much, because it's not really real. It's just something you adopt to not have to face the real dimension of that truly. And that's the problem with religion. It doesn't really provide real answers, and it doesn't go deep. It's just a belief system. It's just whatever. And when I talk about religion, I also include atheism, or the whole idea about nothing happens when you die, like so many people in the West adopt, like a religion. That's a much simpler version of it, because you only need one sentence. The whole doctrine is just nothing happens. That's all you need to believe in, right? It's the whole religion is, nothing happens when I die. Okay, that's great. If I believe that seems scientific, it seems rational. So if I believe that, I don't have to worry about it anymore, because now I know, right? That's my parents' idea of religion, is nothing happens, basically, nothing happens. That's what they told me when I was young, like that's what they believed in, so I shouldn't have to worry about religion and what stuff. They believe nothing happens when you die. So okay, that's great. But it didn't work out so well when things started to happen in their life either. So they were one of them were completely crushed. So and still is many ways. But anyway, that's just the nature of these levels. They are animalistic in nature, and people are oriented about the body and survival and whatnot. So that's just the way the 200s work. And if you're native to these levels, obviously it's different. If you're not native, if you're born higher, that's a different story. But anyway, in the mid to the higher 200 levels, people may be a little bit less stiff and serious, but overall the 200 levels are filled with people who are mostly mechanical and not interested in anything I talk about on this channel. So next time I'm going to talk about the 300 levels.